Holy shit! The hiatus is finally over. Your boy is back, and Set 9.5 is out right now on the PBE servers, not the live servers. And we're seeing quite a lot of really interesting developments. Already, people are able to theory craft a lot of interesting builds. The triple RFC Nila build, the double RFC Snipers Focus Mordekaiser build, a bunch of really crazy cool shit going on. But it is the PBE. There's a bunch of stuff that is gonna get changed before things hit the live servers, and I am pretty sure triple RFC Nila is not gonna be meta before this stuff hits the servers. That doesn't seem like it's the intended feature. So let's talk today a little bit about some compositions and specifically strategies that I think are gonna be really cool and really interesting to play around once this shit goes live on the live servers. Anyways, let's go and talk about it in today's video. All right, so I know at the top it looks like I got a lot of shit going on, and it's because I do, but we're not gonna go over the majority of these tabs. The reason being is that even though they sound good in my head, I don't know if they're actually good until this shit goes live onto the servers, and until then you know, I don't fucking know. So I mean, we're gonna talk about, I think today, 3 things that I think are really cool to talk about, and then maybe in the future we'll be able to do like a real meta analysis, get back into the groove of things, and talk about some really OP combos that you can hit and use once this shit goes live and get some of that elo. So let's first talk about this. This right here is obviously not a composition. This is what I call a core. So a core, if you don't know, is sort of like whenever you watch pro players play or really high level players play, you might notice that they sort of have a strategy that revolves around core units, right? This core is my favorite right now out of set 9.5, and it's just Azir with Nasus and Jarvan giving a strategist and 2 Shrima. Shrima coming down to 3-2 actually makes Azir Nasus super flexible. Like, this is like unbelievably flexible. You can actually build boards completely just around these two. J4 I like to include into here as well, just because he's such a strong unit to play for the strategist bonus, but also because of just how much CC he's able to provide for any team. So my prediction for honestly the patch coming out, like Azir Flex is going to be really, really strong. So I kind of want to talk a little bit about Azir Flex and like what you can expect. Obviously Azir itemization, you might not see it on every single build because I don't know if I did it for every single one, but it just Ginsu, Shiv, GS. Nothing is different about this unit, including all the new items here. I don't think any of the new items are actually that great on him, just from what I can tell. Nasus, it's slightly different. It used to be BT Titans, this used to be BIS, but it has changed a little bit now, where instead of double BT, you kind of want the Sterex instead for that little extra AD, and that procs off the 60% HP, which is nice because he's a Juggernaut and does lots of damage. So let's talk a little bit about this. So the first one I want to talk about is this sort of Azir Silco Fiora line. It is disgusting. My phone is going off because I got hosed. No, I don't. Bebe just went live actually, so maybe I should go check out his stream if he's still streaming after this. But Azir Fiora Silco, like this line is basically, this is in my opinion the new like Azir Lux line. It's basically Azir Lux. The only difference is that instead of playing around Azir Lux carry, you're playing around Azir Silco. The idea is very similar in that it's basically just Azir is your main DPS here, and this is probably a comp that I predict to be really, really popular once the set goes live. But actually, you could Gunblade Silco and stay here, and you go GS, Ginsu +1. You could do Shiv here if you wanted to, but quite honestly, JG probably makes more sense because you could actually apply MR Shred through somebody else here, like Silco. Maybe he's, I mean, I don't think Shiv Silco makes sense, but like maybe something like Ionic Spark on like Nasus or Jarvan here, like that makes a lot of sense here, right? I mean, obviously play around what you hit. You're gonna itemize the Silco next after this, and then stuff like Archangel, stuff like Morello. Utility is the name of the game when it comes to Silco, and you want to be able to itemize them with things that are gonna be able to provide damage, but also provide a lot of utility for the team. Fiora, obviously, she gets some really, really nice items at level 8. You basically want to roll for this board at level 7 here, get everything online, 2-star, 2-star, maybe 2-star this as well, maybe 2-star this, whatever, yep. And then Fiora is not a priority really. You could itemize her instead of the Silco instead, and if that's the case though, you could just completely drop the Silco if you happen to find that early Fiora too, and then you can play something like a Sona instead, if I can find that bitch. There we go. And that gives us 3 Demacia and a little bit of bonus attack speed. You can even position like this just to make sure her wave gives, you know, the Azir the extra attack speed as well. Fiora automatically gets that Radiant Sterex as the current patch. This might change depending on how things go. It used to be Radiant BT, now it's Radiant Sterex. So you want to itemize a BT +1, probably something like Titans, and you are good to go. This unit is disgustingly OP, and she is definitely a force to be reckoned with. Good stuff coming out of this board, and definitely something to consider when you're playing Azir. The next one I want to talk about is Misfortune Reroll. Now, dude, I'm gonna be honest, man. Like, Bilgewater, I was like kind of hyped about it because I was like, oh, there's like a bunch of new units in the vertical. It's gonna be so fun to play around like all these different Bilgewater units or whatever, and Bilgewater's kind of cool. Like, I'm a One Piece fan, bro, like pirates and shit. But then, like, dude, when you go into Bilgewater, I'm just saying, man, if you've actually put all these units on the board, have you noticed that none of them fit together? Like, it's almost as if they really don't want you to play the vertical tree. It only comes together once you have Gangplank on the board, but like, going into a game revolving around a 5 cost for like your game plan, like, it's not good practice. So, I mean, maybe someone can find a way to make vertical Bilgewater work, but from the looks of things, like, this vertical trait, at least in my eyes, doesn't look too hot. Nilo doesn't really give a shit about having Bilgewater active in general. GP does, kind of, but like, to him, it's just bonus damage. You can quite honestly just play around GP and just gunners. Like, you don't actually need Bilgewater active. It's very easy to activate though if you manage to keep the graves on the board, but having a 5 cost and a 1 cost on your board at the same point in the game really doesn't make a lot of sense. Usually what ends up happening is that you see people play stuff like Targon with the Aphelios here, and in case this looks any bit familiar to you, bing bang boop bop boop, look at that, 6 Bastions, 2 Gunner Aphelios, and this is just, you know, sort of how people have been playing it out right now. But obviously as the game progresses, maybe we'll see something different. Side note real quick, Aphelios doesn't really care about Deathblade anymore because he's a gunner now. So Ginsu's GS, IE, stuff like this, pretty acceptable now. So definitely something to consider. You can probably still go double Ginsu's GS. I think that's probably fine as well. Deathblade is a bit redundant because he's a gunner, but I mean, it's fine. Play what you hit. But anyways, definitely a line to consider here. I'm just a little sad about Bilgewater, you know, the vertical tree not really being a thing. But going back to here, the cool thing about Bilgewater though is that it does contain 2 very strong 3-cost units, Misfortune and Nautilus. Now, Misfortune, if you don't know, is a Bilgewater strategist. Nautilus is a Bilgewater juggernaut. So this is like a very strong tank to play around, and Misfortune is a very strong AP unit to play around. She's actually quite stable as a 2-star unit, at least at the current patch for the PBE, and I would expect her to be pretty stable and somebody that you can play around. Like, you roll down 3-2, you find Misfortune 2, and then you go, okay, bet I can play around this line. The line is simply a 0-2, Misfortune 3, Nautilus 3, and you're re-rolling on 7, trying to hit Nautilus 3, Misfortune 3, and a 0-2 is like your main damage throughout most of the mid game. The idea is that Nautilus 3, Misfortune 3, once you actually have them all together, this board packs a fucking punch. It's actually kind of disgusting. I actually played this board. This was one of the first boards I got to play on the PBE, and it against like a 30 stack T-Hex mega cash out dude, this board almost won. It's disgustingly kind of good. I know in the clip itself, I did play Nefiri instead of like the Shen. That's because Stream used to be 3 out of 3, not 2 out of 2. So I thought it was 3 out of 3. So the entire time I was just playing this weird like 3 out of 2 Shrima thing. It didn't help, by the way, that Tactics.tools was coded so that it showed 3 out of 3 Shrima on here. They changed it, thank God. But like, anyways. Nonetheless, for itemizations here, we've already talked about Azir. Misfortune, Blue Buff, Gunblade, and Archangels, I think is great. If you have a healing augment, which I highly recommend, you can actually drop the Gunblade here and go Archangels and JG. And this is probably her strongest itemization in terms of damage output. I will say, though, that this itemization might look familiar to you if you played TFT during Set 8, where Misfortune and Anima squad was running basically the exact same itemization. The only difference is that her mana pool is a lot lower now. She actually casts like a bunch. So blue buff is definitely the way to go here. And she's constantly breaking shields, by the way. Guard Breaker is actually very nice on her as well. If you want to drop the Archangels and go Guard Breaker instead, that's totally fine as well. JG, Guard Breaker work very well synergistically together. I don't know if that's a word, but nonetheless, still very strong unit, and you can break a lot of shields, do a lot of damage. Really great stuff. And she has wound, by the way, so don't build anti-heal. You don't need to do that. Nautilus, on the other hand, this is my personal favorite itemization on him. This is actually utilizing a new item on here. We have we have Gargoyle Stone Blade, Warmogs, and fucking Crown Guard. Crown Guard is not like the tankiest of items. It's only 20 armor. It's actually not a lot, but if you can synergize it with Warmogs here, it gives you a 30% max health shield for 8 seconds. So it's actually a pretty strong item, especially on very tanky units. You could even like try and like solo frontline Nautilus here at the very beginning, and even throughout late game. If you have this like Crown Guard, Gargoyle, Warmog setup, he's gonna tank a lot, and he'll actually be like a force to reckon with. Obviously, if your opponent's a Guard Breaker though, like maybe reconsider. But nonetheless a very, very strong frontliner. And if you manage to get 3-star, you're looking at not only like a very secure top 4, very secure like top 2 in my opinion, even a first. It's a very, very strong board. At level 8, you just tech into a rise, boom, you're done. And that's basically it. I will say though, Alawi Shen, it's a little, this is sort of the core of this board, so you can actually play whatever. You do need to play around a 3rd Bilgewater unit. There's no good one that I could find off the top of my head. Obviously GP is best if you can find it, but you do want to play around a lot more frontline than backline units, just because you do have enough damage with the Misfortune 3 and the Azir 2. So even though GP is nice, not necessary. You could play around something like Mila, maybe try to get Vanquishes in with Juggernauts, something like this, and you play around maybe 4 Juggernauts at level 8, that's fine as well. That could be your cap. It would be something like this, so if you're playing around your cap, right? Something like that. Play around with it, but nonetheless, still a very strong board. I am really looking forward to playing. Finally, I do want to talk about when it comes to Azir Flex, you cannot forget about Vertical Azir. Now, Vertical Streama, Vertical Streama, dude. I'm just saying, this shit feels kind of good. Like, I just played a game playing Vertical Streama. Someone told me to end my life, and like that's how good it was. Like that's how frustrating it was for other players to play into this board. They told me to end my life, and then I reported them, and they got, you know, instant feedback reported 2 minutes later. That shit was fucking funny. But anyways, I will say real quick, the best Shurima spat holder or Shurima emblem holder, it's actually gonna be Fiora. This unit's disgusting, dude. I don't know what Riot did, but this is not okay. This unit is so strong, and it's sickening. I'm almost lost for words when I think about it. It's so bad. Basically what ends up happening is that because you get the Radiant item from Demacia eventually, this is as far as you're going to go in terms of itemizing her. You need BT on her no matter what, because she's going to get that Sterix. Once you get that Radiance in, how the fuck do you make a Sterix gauge? Belt. Yes, there we go. I think it's belt. But yeah, anyways, Sterix gauge, Shurima emblem, and BT, and she pops off. Like she doesn't do like a crazy amount of damage. She won't ever be your primary carry, but because you have this, and this Fiora is like the cheapest units in terms of components to itemize. It's just BT, nothing else. Bro, this thing goes fucking hard. Like I think they say in the paint. I don't really play basketball, but like, dude, like this shit goes kind of crazy. Just make sure that when you actually like position this shit though, Nefiri, you want him, oh god, it's a dog, them to be adjacent to Nasus or Fiora. That's not a cancelable offense, by the way. I just don't know their pronouns. Nasus, Fiora, adjacent to one another. The reason being is that as soon as they die, they give the Darken passive over to Nasus or Fiora, and then they get to pop off, do lots of damage. Don't sleep on Nasus, very, very strong unit. And again, this is a very easy, it's, again, 3 carries is usually a lot to itemize, but because this Fiora technically only needs 1 completed item, that being BT, just slam everything else on Nasus and Azir, and you're gonna have a very good time. And the Fury, again, play around whatever is strongest, your Fiora or the Nasus, and you're just gonna have a good time. Obviously, excuse me, your level 8 is going to be the actual Demacia unit. This way you actually get the Demacia in. It's going to be the Sona because you get multicasters with the Talia. Cassiopeia eventually becomes a Cassante. And your level 9 can be like fucking Aatrox or whatever, and that's your board. Boom! Really strong board. Dude, don't sleep on Vertical Streama, man. I'm just saying, this shit's kind of fun. Anyways, that's basically it for all of the Azir flex lines that I wanted to talk about. I did want to quickly talk about reroll Graves. And also Double Trouble. But let's talk about Reroll Graves real quick. Reroll Graves was kind of a menace on like day 1 of PvE. The idea being is that this thing just hops into the back, and because it's a 1-cost, very strong rogue that you can just reroll very easily and hit very easily, you can just itemize them super early, and then you just blow up their backline. Nothing else can be done about it. It also does help the fact that because Kiana is an Ishtal unit, Ishtal, not Ixtal. I was saying Ixtal first day, my bad. It comes from a Spanish word, but the Spanixt word, it's IXT and it's pronounced Isht. So I don't know what's going on over there. But anyways, Kiana is also an Ishtal unit, and because Milio is also a 1-cost, you can actually reroll pretty easily for Graves, Alawi, Milio, and this is sort of the reroll that I prefer. When it comes to 1-cost rerolls, you are usually rerolling for like 3-ish, 2 to 3-ish 1-cost 3-star, ideally 3. Sometimes 4 if you're very lucky here. Like if you remember, if you ever played Tristana reroll, it could be like Maokai 3, Poppy 3, Tristana 3, Alawi, Viego 3, yeah, Viego 3. Speaking about Viego and pirates, because Viego's a pirate. The One Piece live action came out. Listen, as a huge One Piece fan, let me know what you guys think about it, because I'm watching it right now. I only made it through like episode 1, but like it looks kind of good, but there's been a lot of mixed reviews about it, so like let me know. I know Tekking 101 did like a whole like interview with like the cinematographer person who did the cinematics for like the first like 2 episodes, and that interview is super interesting. Maybe I'll link it in the description if you guys want it, but I mean, you can just YouTube search it. But anyways, if you're a One Piece fan, let me know. I think live actions historically have been pretty shit when it comes to like adapting anime into like a live action, but like if it's actually like this, apparently it's like kind of good. Like, don't go into like, you know, critical about it, you know, just as a One Piece fan, just watch it to enjoy, you know. It's like playing TFT. You play TFT to enjoy, and the elo will come after, you know what I mean? Anyways, moving on. Milio, BIS, sorry, complete tangent, by the way. BIS, I believe it's Shojin. I believe he has like an 80 mana cost pool, but I think it's Shojin, and they can just do something like Archangel's JG. Very simple enough. Milio, you can't really sleep on either as a carry. He's actually kind of good, and depending on where the Ishtal Hex is, you can either use it for Graves here. If it's windy in D1, you can put Milio here. I think I've seen Electric Middle, like A4 here. I'm pretty sure if that's the case, you just play around Graves here. It's a very big, like, if the Ishtal Hex is good, then play around it. I will also say this real quick in case you're wondering, like I was, if you should be scouting constantly to figure out where the Ishtal Hex is, because as soon as one person figures it out, it's the same for everybody. It's kind of like Socialite back in set 6, where like the Socialite Hex was the same for everybody. Once you find out the Ishtal Hex, you know what it is. Also, it actually tells you what element it is, similar to how Janna's weather worked back in set 8. It's a little icon, right, hovering around the shop. You just hover your mouse over it, but that'll tell you what the element is. It won't tell you where the spot is, but you can scout and figure it out pretty quickly. Just hold Kiana's and Milios in the early game if you really want to know where it is, and you want to try to lean into this comp as soon as possible. I'd say if you get a lot of swords, or if you get a lot of Milios or a lot of Graves, definitely consider playing into this line. I think out of all the 1 costs we have this set, I think this is probably going to be the most popular 1 cost reroll, with maybe the exception of Kale reroll, but we'll talk about that another day. All right, finally, let's talk about Double Trouble. So Double Trouble, I know I was gonna talk about Zero Flex, and then I said I only talk about like 3 boards, but I didn't talk about like 10 boards. Like suck my dick, bro. This is my channel. I do what I want here. When I was like experimenting with Bilgewater and trying to find a board for every unit in Bilgewater to be a carry, Graves reroll, you might have noticed I already have it included in here. I also had Misfortune reroll included in here. I have not talked about Neela, and I've not talked about TF, and there are 2 reasons why. First off, TF, this unit fucking sucks. I don't like Riot Police. This unit is so fucking dog shit. It's so bad. If you try to play TF reroll, you will understand my pain. Because first off, why the fuck would you ever play TF reroll when you could just play Talia reroll? Talia is just TF but better. They're both 2 costs. They're both multicasters. Bilgewater's not that big of a buff. Like, just play Talia reroll instead. It makes way more sense. Also, Talia reroll got buffed, surprisingly enough, and not because of anything that they did to her numbers. It's purely just because this Nautilus unit is a thing now. So like, your front line, it's not Swain anymore, it's Nautilus, and now you have more knockups to play around, and Talia just gets to have a field day. And quite honestly, you just go level 7, you just tech in another Nautilus. Where's the Naughty boy? There you go, Naughty boy, boom boom boom, it's fucking over. You play this game like nobody can do anything about you. Like, this board's actually super strong right now. I wouldn't be surprised if there are nerfs coming in the future. And yeah, it's very simple. Obviously, you 3-star everything, you just start pushing levels. I'm gonna be honest, I don't really know what else you tech in here. To me, it just sounds like legendaries, like Bing, Bang, excuse me, boom. Sorry, I had like leftover mashed potatoes and chicken for dinner, and it was like, it's like 2 days old, but like it was still good, and I had it like a little gassy. Anyways, really good stuff. It's probably actually, quite honestly, it's probably double Scion, more knockups, but you get infinite knockups now, and you probably play Heimerdinger. There is a bit of talk about how Heimerdinger is kind of a shit unit now, because apparently like they nerfed his mods to the point where people think Heimer's not that good. I disagree. I still think Heimer's a very strong, if not the best and strongest flex unit of the set. Still is. That's not changing, but you are seeing a couple more people being more open-minded about potentially playing into a Rise at a certain point on your board, and that is okay too. Anyways, really strong board. I know it's like disappointing, like, oh, you kind of rather Twisted Fate be the better version of a multicaster reroll for a 2 cost rather than Talia, but Talia's passive just works well with too many units. Like, there's like, what you gonna do? Like, nothing about it. Anyways, that's basically, oh, sorry, Neela. Holy fuck, Neela. I don't really feel comfortable talking about Neela just yet because first off, Lake Duck broke the meta again with this double triple RFC bullshit. And then on top of that, apparently a lot of people are just running like Pandora's box into triple RFC, like Mordekaiser Neela. Right now it's like a triple RFC meta for whatever reason. I don't really understand what's going on. There's a bunch of windshield wiping going on, so like things are weird, so I don't really get it. I don't think this is an intended interaction. I think they're gonna give Neela the Yasuo treatment where they're just gonna make it so her ability doesn't scale with RFC, so you're not gonna see long Neela anymore. And my guess is that if they do end up doing that, Juggernaut Neela is probably going to be the strongest version of Neela. Obviously, there's going to be different variations, but the idea is, I'm pretty sure, that you want her to go in there and, like, get dirty, you know what I mean? I don't actually know what her BIS is either. She's a very confusing unit for me. I'm just lost looking at this unit. The way I get lost in your mom's eyes. Fuck. Dude, like, people like Raditz just baffle me. Like, I don't know how you come up with quirky shit on the spot. Like, this guy always has a one-liner ready in his head. It's like loaded inside of his, in that fucking cranium of his. And I ain't got that. I'm lacking in that comeback department. Anyways, I'm the guy that like you talk to and then you're like, dude, like, do you remember when you said this? And I'm like, I don't. Like, cause it was probably so stupid that I tried to forget that I ever said such a ridiculous thing. Like that statement, like I can't believe those words came out of my fucking mouth. Anyways, listen, 9.5, it's fun. Go play it, have some fun, get some homies and play the game. Starting, I think, like, next week at some point, like, I'm actually, like, buckling down and, like, actually studying the set. I haven't really been, like, going, like, too heavy into 9.5 to be completely honest. This is just, like, my initial observations. But once, like, 9.5 is, like, we're a week away. A week, by the way, if you don't know, a week left in the PBE means try hard mode for like everybody, because that's when like a lot of the major changes have ended, and now it's a lot of tweaking before it actually goes onto the live servers. And then people are going to be climbing and trying to climb ASAP. We're all what, starting D4, so it's like a race to masters, race to fucking challenger all over again. It's gonna be super fun. But anyways, hope this was helpful. I mean, I don't even know if this video was helpful. I feel like I'm just like rambling half the time, but I mean, like, hey, like 9.5 is fun. Kai approves. Yeah. Also, yo, I got featured on TFT clips. That shit was kind of cool. Shout out to Disco, man. I appreciate you, homie. Anyways, that's about it. Take care, guys, and happy climbing. Just kidding. By the way, if you're that guy who, this is my last thing. I promise I'm done. I missed you guys. I mean, come on, man. I missed you guys. Listen, if you're that guy who climbs to Challenger on like the second to last day of like the set, I'm not talking about like 4 or 5 days ago. I'm talking about like into like September 11th, and you were like, hey, I hit Challenger. No one fucking cares, bro. No one's playing anymore. So like, if you hit Challenger the next 2 weeks, congratulations. No one gives a shit. But hey, I hope you feel good about it, and then actually try to hit Challenger, because you know, like, I don't know, like, I don't know, like, I don't want to dwindle on your achievements like that. I sound like an asshole now. Like, I'm ashamed. I'm disappointed. Not in you, in me. This is a terrible way to go. Listen, if you hit Challenger, like, actually, congratulations. But at the same time, though, I mean, it doesn't mean as much compared to like if you're actually playing like during the season. But like, I don't mean that in like a negative way. I feel like I should edit this part out. Like, am I just an asshole? Like, I guess so. Fuck. Well, this sucks. All right. Anyways, I'll see you guys. This is probably really. I don't know when to stop talking. I don't. Okay. Anyways, I'll see you guys. Tomorrow, hopefully. Yeah. Until then, bye. Bye. Sayonara. Peace out, Girl Scout. Happy climbing. Not really though. But kind of. Yeah. Actually though, if you hit Challenger though, I'm proud of you. Okay. Just don't listen to me. Who cares? I'm an angry Japanese man on the internet. Like, who gives a shit? Anyways, I'll see you guys later. Bye.